utilitarianism. Okay, utilitarianism is a moral philosophy that argues that for any situation, the best course of action to take is one that maximizes happiness and minimizes suffering. It falls under the category of consequentialism, meaning the morality of an action is judged based on the outcomes rather than the intentions or inherent moral rules.
Utilitarianism has roots in ancient Greek philosophy, but it formally emerged in the 18th and 19th centuries with thinkers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. Act utilitarianism, developed by Bentham, focuses on the direct consequences of an action, while Mill's role utilitarianism considers the broader consequences. One of the most prominent examples of utilitarianism is the classic trolley problem. The trolley problem presents a moral dilemma. A runaway trolley is headed towards 5 people tied to the tracks. You can pull a lever to divert it onto the other track, where only one person is tied down. Do you pull the lever? A utilitarian would argue that pulling the lever is the right choice because it results in the fewer deaths, thus minimalizing overall suffering, simply because 5 lives are more valuable than 1. However, variations of the problem complicate this logic. The trolley problem is so well known because it exposes the moral dilemmas within utilitarian thinking.
In this wonderful and not rushed at all project that we have going on, we'll be asking random people what their thoughts on utilitarianism actually mean. And also, we'll be giving them some trolley problems because why the heck not? We'll be interviewing about 3 people and it'll be fine. Alright, let's begin to it.
So first off, nice to meet you. What's your name?
My name's Hunter.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Marcellus. So I'm conducting this interview. Do you know what utilitarianism is? Yeah, so how this interview is going to work is I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to answer them with an unbiased perspective. Basically, just like, do you agree with the following statements? Maybe yes or no. Okay, so you ready? Okay.
The morality of an action is determined by whether, compared to the other available options, it maximizes the sum total happiness of all the people affected by it. I'm going to break that down because it uses a lot of technical terms.
Yeah.
Basically, that boils down to just an action is morally good if it creates the greatest good for the greatest amount of people, even if it's at the cost of a minority population.
Context. There has to be context to it.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's in like this is like a universal law for this one. So it would be like in any scenario you could come up with, which you could come up with some bad ones.
Then no.
Okay.
If it's a straight yes or no, I would say, okay, so it's a majority, the needs of the majority outweigh the needs of the minority.
Basically.
Okay, I'd say, I guess, yes.
Okay. Next up, we have, it is always and everywhere wrong to cause another person's death, assuming they wish to stay alive, if this outcome is avoided.
Okay. Can you reword that?
Yeah, so basically it's wrong to kill somebody as long as they want to stay alive in every case.
So, always bad to kill someone.
Yeah, in every possible scenario.
I would probably most likely agree with that. I'm very much on the side of rehabilitation versus punishment or death, especially like in examples of like the prison system and whatnot. I don't think that the death penalty should exist, and I also don't think that prisons should be run the way they are. I think we should focus more on rehabilitating people back into society rather than punishing them and condemning them.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can save the lives of innocent people without reducing the sum total of human happiness and without putting your own life at risk, you are morally obliged to do so.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
Now I'd like you to respond to different scenarios to test your intuitions against the answers you gave. All right. Imagine you're a random bystander who sees a runaway trolley speeding toward 5 people on the tracks. Have you heard of the trolley problem? We're gonna do a bunch of those.
Okay.
You have the power to pull a lever that will divert the trolley onto another track, but there's one person on that track who will be hit instead. Would you pull the lever to save 5 lives at the cost of 1?
Yeah, I pulled the lever.
Alright?
Because it's going towards the 5 people.
Yes.
Yeah, I pulled it.
Probably not. It's
Alright.
it's unfortunate that it will happen, but it's also putting my own will onto that.
What if nobody was on track 1, but one of the 5 people on track 2 was a serial killer who may kill again if left alive? So on one track, there's absolutely nobody. On the other track, there is 5 people. One of them is a serial killer. Even though there's 4 innocent people on that side, I just want to give you all the context.
Sorry, I'm pulling the lever
On the empty
towards
track.
the empty track.
Okay.
Alright? The person on track 1 was a hyper-intelligent scientist who was working on a cure to cancer. Would you still be willing to divert the track and end his life to save the others?
Yeah, that's all. I'm gonna have to say, just so that I don't delve into this too much, I'm gonna say let's go with flipping the switch and we'll save the 5.
Alright?
I think this goes back to the random situation. I wouldn't pull the lever specifically because it's a scientist, only because that would mean that I'm giving more value to life of an intellectual person.
Yeah.
That's just not how I feel.
No, makes sense. Alright. What if pulling the lever would certainly kill the single person on track 1, but if you let the trolley continue, it's a 50-50 chance whether or not it hits the 5 people. I'm assuming, again, you let it keep going. And this time, it's even there's a chance nothing happened. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So if you let it continue, it's a coin flip.
Yeah. A coin flip on the 5, but it's a definite yes on the 1. Okay. Because I'm actively killing 1 person.
Yep.
And 5 people. Okay, so I'm gonna flip the switch.
Alright? So you're the 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Later, after the trolley incident, the families of the deceased ask you what happened. You have 2 choices. Tell the painful truth, admitting you made a choice that led to someone's death. Lie to spare them the suffering. Perhaps say their loved one died instantly without pain, even if that's not true. Does lying become morally acceptable if it prevents unnecessary suffering?
I mean, I think I'd have to go with the first option, which is telling them the truth. Yeah, because I feel like at that point it would only be protecting me. Not
So you're saying
protecting them.
So you think it's wrong to lie?
I would say that I think it's wrong to lie.
Okay. Isn't telling the truth isn't telling the truth the more selfish thing to do in this scenario? If you're doing this because of your own moral code of lying being wrong, you're allowing yourself to hurt others by telling the truth simply to ease your own conscience.
It could be that.
Because from a utilitarian perspective, if you say, I'm sorry your loved one was killed, they died instantly without pain, even if that's not true, it might bring them some comfort, which raises the total amount of happiness,
It might.
even if it goes against what you would typically think of as moral. It's because this is from a utilitarian perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's the fact that who am I to deprive them of that knowledge? And also yes, from the perspective it is making myself feel better. Knowing that I don't have secrets or stuff to hide.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not my decision. It's not my. I guess I'm trying to take it out of my hands. So it doesn't belong to me.
Right.
This would be something I'd have to tell.
Yeah. I mean, there's no right or right. Right or
Yeah. Especially. I'd have to tell. I don't think I could live on with not telling the truth.
Well, that concludes
concludes our interview. Thank you so much. It's something to think about.
Very, very.
All right.
And what about the clause that he's going to be found for manslaughter anyways because he did kill someone?
Shoot, tell me about that part.
Oh crap!
So should I start running or like?
Hi! Okay, so, as previously discussed, John Stuart Mill was one of the most influential philosophers of utilitarianism, a moral theory originally formulated by, again, Jeremy Bentham. Mill defines utilitarianism as the idea that the right action is the one that maximizes happiness or minimalizes pain. However, he makes a significant distinction from Bentham as he introduces qualitative differences in pleasure. Bentham has treated all pleasures as equal, only differing in quantity. More pleasure is better. Mill, on the other hand, argues that some pleasures, particularly intellectual and moral pleasures, are inherently superior to lower bodily pleasures. He believes general moral rules, such as honesty and justice, should be followed because they generally lead to the best outcomes. His rule utilitarianism helps avoid some of the extreme consequences of utilitarianism, such as justifying harmful actions if they produce happiness in the short term. The issue lies with the fact that we are expected to determine which pleasures are higher. Mill suggests that people who have experienced both intellectual and bodily pleasures will prefer the former, but this is not always true. Rule utilitarianism can also be problematic when rules contradict each other, just like honesty or avoiding harm. Like all forms of utilitarianism, Mill's version struggles with quantifying happiness and comparing different people's pleasures. Despite its flaws, though, Mill's utilitarianism remains one of the most influential moral theories in Western philosophy. Hawk!
Oh my god.
So, we've currently discussed what people might think of Mill's whole idea on utilitarianism. However, I feel like we might need a bit more of a professional opinion of things. That's why we've got our greatest minds coming up to give us a little podcast on what they might think utilitarianism truly means.
Seems like there's a real division on how people feel about utilitarianism. I'd say it's a good idea for guiding policies that improve overall well-being, but it has its limits. I don't think it's a good idea to be solely focused on outcomes rather than structures, because it doesn't really look at people as individuals in certain conditions, but just as numbers, and that can be used to justify the mistreatment of people as a result.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you. I feel like utilitarianism really only works with like bigger groups instead of like a smaller minority. However, that can be really abused. I mean, 1939, 1945, enough said. Yeah, I feel like utilitarianism is a great concept in theory where if everyone is happy, then, oh no, the few little people, whatever. But even if there's like, but what determines the small amount of people? Because it's not going to be like everyone gets what they get. It's some people are going to be left out, but then the people that are left out, then that kind of defeats the whole theory of, well, we're minimalizing pain, but how much pain are they really feeling, you know?
Yeah. I think utilitarianism definitely, like, on a small scale is good, like you said, like in theory to maximize the happiness of people, but I feel like it's only really good or useful in like low stakes like scenarios, because once you start having it be where, yes, it'll be the greater good, but it'll drastically like alter in a negative way the lives of even just one to many people, I think it becomes, you know, problematic. So I think, yeah, like you were saying, ultimately utilitarianism, it definitely, it's good in theory, but I don't think it should be the universal law for morality at all. You know?
Yeah, I got that.
And obviously maximizing happiness sounds like a good goal, but it overlooks a lot of deeper issues like genuine fairness and long-term consequences, as well as the people in power. What about policies that benefit the majority but can harm or neglect marginalized groups? I feel like you'd have to combine both the idea of the greatest good for the greatest number, but with individual rights and fairness.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that.
I mean, I think that's basically that is utilitarianism. Is just it's not a universal law. I think, right? Yeah.
Well, nothing is universal
Well,
except for water isn't wet. That's universal, and pizza sucks.
Right, but I
So.
think if we
Who
were
the heck thinks pizza sucks?
Me.
Nobody aside.
all right. If we were, yeah, like I mean, I said this earlier, but like, you know, if we were to apply one philosophy to be universally what is morally good and wrong, utilitarianism should not be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Friendship.
Friendship. Yeah. Yeah.
Baba Booey.